All right, let's talk about inflation. But I want you to forget the simple definition you've probably heard. We're going to go deeper into the hidden connections between money, power, and even psychology to uncover a system that you probably didn't even know was there.
I mean, what if it's not just an economic number that goes up and down? What if it's actually a system? A system that's designed to have winners and losers. A system that's built to work just out of sight. That's what we're going to peel back the layers on.
So first up, let's start with the official story, the one you hear on the news. But more importantly, we're going to look at what that story always seems to leave out, the political angle, the transfer of wealth that the simple numbers just don't show you.
You see, when most people think of inflation, they just think prices are going up. But that's just the symptom. It's not the cause. The real story, the one that actually matters, is all about the sequence. It's about who gets their hands on newly created money first.
And there's a name for this. It's called the Cantillon Effect. It's a bit of a fancy term, but the idea is simple. New money isn't spread around evenly like butter on toast. The people closest to the money source, think governments, big banks, they get to spend it first while prices are still low. By the time that money trickles down to the rest of us, it's already lost a chunk of its buying power. So how is this game actually played? Well, now we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at the hidden mechanics, the real engine behind modern money.
Just think about this for a second. Governments always seem to need more money than they get from taxes. But nobody likes tax hikes, right? It's political suicide. So how do they cover the difference? The answer is really the key to understanding all of this. And here's the three-step playbook. First, new money is created to pay for government spending. Then, as all this new cash floods the system, it dilutes the value of all the money already out there. Your dollar just doesn't go as far. And that erosion of your savings, that is effectively a tax. It's just a tax nobody ever voted for.
And you know why this method is so genius politically speaking? Because it's sneaky. Unlike a tax hike that shows up on your paycheck, inflation is slow, it's confusing, and there's no single person to get mad at. It is the perfect hidden tax. So what's really driving this inflation engine? We all have this image of giant printing presses running 24/7. But in our modern world, that's not really how it works. Most new money isn't printed, it's borrowed into existence. Every time a bank issues a loan, poof, new money is created as credit. That means debt is the real fuel for the fire.
Okay, so we've got the mechanics down. Let's make it personal. Because this isn't just some abstract theory. It has very, very real consequences. And it creates a clear dividing line between the people who benefit and the people who get left behind. And when you look at who's on which side of that line, man, it is stark. Inflation punishes savers because the cash you've tucked away is losing value every single day. It punishes people on a fixed salary because wages almost never keep up with the real cost of things. But on the flip side, it rewards people in debt, like, say, the government. And it massively rewards anyone who owns assets, stocks, real estate, you name it, because their prices get inflated. In short, the system rewards taking risks, not playing it safe.
And this leads to a huge disconnect. The official inflation number, the CPI, might say 3%. But then you look at your actual life, right? Your rent, your groceries, healthcare, tuition. Your personal inflation rate is almost always way, way higher. The official number just doesn't tell the whole story of the pressure people are actually feeling.
But here's the wild card. This system isn't just about spreadsheets and economic models. Maybe the most powerful force driving this whole thing is what's going on inside our own heads.
Seriously, just think it through. If everyone expects prices to go up next year, what do? You buy that new car or TV now before the price goes up. And what do businesses do? They raise their prices now in anticipation. It's a collective belief about the future that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, making inflation happen faster. This psychological angle is absolutely essential if you want to understand the worst-case scenarios, like hyperinflation. We tend to think it's just about a government printing way too much money. But that's the symptom. The real disease, the root cause, is when people completely and utterly lose faith in their currency.
And that really gets to the absolute heart of what money is. At the end of the day, it's just a collective agreement. It's a story we all tell ourselves. Currency only has value because we all believe it has value. And when that belief dies, the whole thing can fall apart with terrifying speed.
So, as we start to put all these pieces together, I want to offer a radical idea. What if inflation isn't an accident? What if it's not a mistake that policymakers are desperately trying to fix? What if it's a feature,
not a bug. I mean, have you ever really thought about that? Central banks all over the world openly say their goal is around 2% inflation. If rising prices are so bad, why wouldn't they just aim for zero? Well, the answer tells you everything you need to know about the purpose of the system. There are a few core reasons. First, that little bit of inflation discourages you from just hoarding cash. It nudges you to spend it or invest it, which keeps the economy moving. Second, and this is the big one, it silently chips away at the real value of enormous government debts, making them easier to manage. And finally, in a debt-based system, a little inflation is like the oil that keeps the gears from seizing up. And this brings us to the ultimate 0.01% insight. The people who truly understand this game don't waste their energy fighting inflation. They accept it as a permanent part of the landscape. They just ask a different question: where is the new money going to flow next? And then they position themselves to ride that wave instead of getting crushed by it. Which leads us to our last big question. After seeing how it works as a hidden tax, how it transfers wealth, and how it's a deliberate policy goal, can we really call it a flaw? And there's your answer. It's the single most important takeaway. Inflation isn't a bug in the system, it is the system. It's the operating system for our entire modern economy, designed to do exactly what it does. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Now that you see the rules of the game more clearly, what does that mean for you? How does it change the way you think about your money, your savings, and your future?